So now let's get into the main portion of today's episode, which is 5 ways you are fighting your femininity. We live in a world where being feminine is relegated to silly outward appearance things, but also more than that, it's just not valued in the same way. And I think that there's a lot of things we can do to embrace our femininity, right? But not just embrace it, stop fighting it. So I'm excited to share these 5 things with you. Let's just get started. So number 1 is not accepting your changing body. I say this as a postpartum mom. I'm 10 months postpartum, and my body looks entirely different than it did before I had a baby. And I don't know that it will ever look the same. And I'm not just talking about weight gain, weight loss, whatever it is. I'm talking about structurally, my body is different. My hips are wider. My waist is a little thicker. My stomach has stretch marks on it. I have loose skin from carrying a baby. And it's an interesting thing because we live in a day where we're constantly fighting for what we used to look like, right? We're always like looking back to, okay, I want to look the same as I did when I was 16. I want to look the same as I did before I had a baby. I want to look the same as I did before I had my second baby. And the truth is that women, the feminine figure, was meant to shift and change. Even before, having children, throughout the month, your body changes. Throughout the month around your period, your body will change because of hormonal shifts, right? Men's bodies don't change. Men's bodies stick one way their whole lives. If men choose to, not take care of themselves, then, they'll gain weight or whatever else it is. But men's bodies do not react hormonally the same way that women's do. Women's bodies are not supposed to stay the same. We are not supposed to look exactly the way we did before we had children, after we have children. We are going to lose weight. We are going to gain weight. We are going to have looser skin. We're going to have stretch marks. We're going to have, our bodies, our structure, our skeletal structure is going to change after we birth children. Fighting femininity, fighting your body is telling yourself that you need to look exactly the same as you did all your whole life. And it's just not realistic. Your body is going to change. And it should change. That is part of being a woman. The fact that our bodies can change to host a human being is incredible. We love on our bodies so much. I think most women do. Not every woman, but most women do. We love on our bodies so much for the fact that we can get pregnant and grow a human, and our bodies can house a little baby and our stomachs stretch. We love that our bodies are flexible enough to do that, but then we're like, bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. I think it's important to exercise, to stay healthy, to eat well. I think that's all really important because taking care of yourself is important. And there is a certain level of when you take care of yourself, then your body responds in kind, aka it looks better when you take care of yourself. But is it going to look the same? No. And I think the expectation that our bodies should remain the same throughout our entire lives means you're fighting your femininity. So that's number 1. Number 2 is fighting your nurturing nature. When we are told to have sex with no strings attached, to sleep around and not catch feelings, things like that, and there's other examples I'm going to share here, but things like that are fighting our nurturing nature. One of the most beautiful parts of being feminine is that we are so nurturing, that we want to take care of people, that we want to give them a warm and loving home. And fighting that by trying to say, I'm not going to give of myself to someone else, right? Let's say in a sexual relationship, in a physical relationship, is so wrong. There's a reason that saving sex until marriage is so beautiful, because that nurturing nature where you want to take care of the person that you are sharing that intimacy with is perfect place to do it. You're supposed to do that. That nurturing nature can come out and should come out. And in kind, your husband wants to take care of you. It's so important for us to hold that nurturing nature close, because otherwise we let it go. And a woman who doesn't nurture starts to lose a little bit of herself. Now, another version of this is when we become harsh disciplinarians or harsh spreader of truths. Now, to be clear, I think that there are times that it is a lot of fun to be a little bit more strident, a little bit more brash in the way that we talk about ideas. If you follow me on Instagram, if you watch my reels, you will know that I do that with that content. I think that it's funny. But the truth is, when I'm really trying to change people's minds, when I'm really trying to give some guidance, it has to be gentle. It has to be nurturing. It's so easy to kind of want to cross over into that, like, here's what it is, and I'm telling you what to do, and I'm going to be harsh, and I'm going to be a disciplinarian, and I'm going to be bossy, or whatever else it is. But it is much more effective when we lean into that nurturing nature and we use our gentle guidance to help impart wisdom, impart ideas, impart help. I know that even as a mother, it is unnatural for me to really discipline harshly my son. When I come to him in a loving, kind, nurturing way, first of all, he responds better. But second of all, I can feel that I feel pride in my mothering in those moments. So don't fight that nurturing nature. Embrace it, because that is a huge part of your femininity. Number 3 is embracing hustle culture rather than slow living. Guys, I am over hustle culture. I am over it. I don't like it. It's not my thing. I am much more for slow living. Now, I know that slow living can make a lot of people like pause and not really understand and think that you're saying they have to quit their jobs and stay at home all the time and never do anything that's really like stressful. That's not what I mean. I just mean being intentional, enjoying your everyday, taking time in those pockets that you have it to not be stressed and not searching out stress in the moments you don't have to. AKA, I have had many moments where I have a few minutes just to spare, and instead of taking advantage of them in a positive, gentle way and thinking, oh, I have a couple minutes, maybe I'll read or maybe I'll play with my son, I'll be like, what else do I have to do? I need to find something to do. I get really urgent about it. That to me is more of a hustle culture perspective of I need to constantly be busy. I need to constantly be producing. I need to constantly be doing something very hectic. It's much more feminine to embrace slow living, to cook something, take an extra 20 minutes and cook something tastier rather than faster, to sit with your baby and play for 15 minutes, just directed attention, rather than giving him 2 minutes and then running around to clean your house. It's so important to lean into this life that we have, and constantly feeling rushed. Life is short, but it's also long. And it's important for us to take advantage of each and every moment and enjoy it. And when you're rushing to get things done all the time and you need to be busy, you're also rushing time. You will get to the end of the day and feel like that your day was just hectic and it just passed you by and you were running around, as opposed to maybe half of your day is like that. And the other half of your day, you get to the end and you're like, wow, that was really a nice, luxurious day. I wish for all of us that our time feels luxurious. And that doesn't mean 100% of the time. But even those small pockets of time that you really allow yourself to just take things easy, or to invest in a project that's fun and immersive. It's so feminine. It's so important. I think start with cooking. That's an easy place to start. Cooking doesn't always have to be 2 steps, one and done. Like, it can be a thing that you follow the recipe and enjoy. Like, choose something that's just a little bit more complicated, a little bit. It doesn't have to be a full day project, but maybe something that you've never done before. The other night I made a spaghetti squash, and I'd never made spaghetti squash before. And I made a bolognese sauce that from scratch. Like, I didn't just pour marinara sauce from a bottle into the pan. I made one from scratch. And just those 2 things added maybe 15 minutes to the whole process, but it made it feel so much more luxurious to me. And I really enjoyed the process. So embrace slow living and reject hustle culture. Number 4, the 4th way you are fighting your femininity is wearing only loungewear. I know that sounds funny, but we are in the era of athleisure. That is the fashion of today. Most people wear leggings and a sweatshirt every single day. And wearing pretty clothing that makes you feel good is feminine. Wearing pretty clothing that accentuates your figure in a modest way, that's so feminine. Constantly covering yourself in what's comfortable or what's easy or things that really disguise your figure, disguise your body. It takes away one of the really beautiful elements of womanhood. And that's not to say that you have to dress fancy or that you have to like really think hard every day about your outfit. But it means taking a moment, picking something from your closet that really speaks to you, that you really love, that expresses your personality, and that makes you feel good in your body. And that looks different for everybody. I had Sarah Therese on my podcast a couple episodes ago, and she dresses not totally different from me because both of us actually, there are some overlap, but she dresses in a way that is not typically feminine, but makes her feel like a woman, right? Like, she feels really good in her figure. She feels really good in her body. I'm not speaking for her, but I think that that's true. I think she's kind of given that across on her Instagram. And wearing just the same pair of baggy pants and the same baggy sweatshirt and whatever every single day, it just takes away from the beauty of our figures, the beauty of the bodies God gave us, and the beauty of expressing ourselves through our clothing. Style is a really fun way to express your personality. And I always say it skips the first step of trying to show someone who you are when they can kind of tell who you are through your clothes. So number 4 is wearing only loungewear fights your femininity. So stop doing that. Start wearing beautiful clothing and clothing that makes you feel good. Number 5 is sinking into social media. That's one of the ways you're fighting your femininity. Femininity calls for socialization and being an active member of your community. Social media makes you feel like you're doing that, but really you're sequestering yourself behind a screen. The most dangerous things in life are the things that make you think you're doing something positive, so you invest your time and energy into it, but really are a waste of your time. Another example, often for men, is video games. Now, I'm not like anti all video games. I think there are certain scenarios when you're playing with your friends, when it is a social activity, that can be fine. But a lot of video gaming is about pursuit of a goal. And so you'll play until you get that goal, but really there's no goal to be had in beating a video game, right? It's not really useful. The same as social media. Social media feels like you're socializing. It's called social media. Oh, I'm talking to my friends. I'm keeping in touch with people. I'm following along with their lives. But the truth is that the advent of social media has actually ruined a lot of relationships. It keeps you kind of in touch on the very fringes of your mind at all times, but you're not actually in touch. Like, when is the last time you spoke to the people that you follow on social media? Actually called them on the phone or saw them in person and got coffee? Not very often. It's probably pretty rare. So social media takes away that impetus of us as women to be really active community members and active parts of our social groups. There's something wonderful about having a book club in person or on my Substack, for example, or being a part of your synagogue's community or your church's community. It's so important. And it makes you, one of the things I always say is important about femininity is being strong enough that people can depend on you. And that is one of the most core things about being a good community member. So if you are not available for that because you're too active on social media, and I say this to myself as much as anyone else, you are fighting your femininity, and it's not worth it. It's so much better to be part of your PTA or to be somebody who is helping your community grow and be better. With your involvement as a woman, it really makes a difference. So those are my 5 ways you are fighting your femininity. Let me know what you guys think. I always love to hear your thoughts.